All right. Dirty Sports episode 118. We are live on YouTube in 5, 4, 3. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I am your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Los Angeles, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Hello, Andrew T. Ruther.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am very excited about today's show.
The world of sports was like Andy Ruther has been just treading water the last few weeks on the Dirty Sports Podcast. He's not his usual self. We need to drop a heavy amount of football news on him so that he can get back to it. He doesn't want to talk. He's heard the Reddit posts. He doesn't want to talk LeBron. It's time for some NFL news. And also,
what are you talking about?
They drop NFL news that like is so perfectly Andy Ruther too. You got Russ news. You have a backdoor into screaming about Pete Rose for 10 minutes. You've got like there's so much. This is Andy Ruther's perfect episode.
Oh yeah.
In a non-football season time.
What are you talking about with LeBron and Reddit?
No, we got that Reddit post that said, "Oh, you guys are back to slurping LeBron."
Oh yeah, that doesn't bother me. Well,
no, I know it doesn't.
Well, for the record, you know, I think I was holding my own, treading water. I wasn't the guy, you know, that was chained to the building that they're ready to knock down. Like I wasn't refusing, but I am an NFL. I'm an NFL guy. Like Of all the sports, I've never denied that. Now, the NFL, as you have always said, is true. Like they are the masters of taking all the news, the PR spins. They just dominate. And
it's so funny because I mean, the NBA's in that time of year where we're basically just talking about kind of seedings and MVPs and stuff like that. But, you know, like on a day-to-day basis, like the NBA, no league, the quality of a league jumps so high for the NBA from regular season to postseason. I don't think there's any greater jump in leagues. I'm not a big hockey guy, but to go from the regular season to the postseason. So everybody who is an NBA fan like myself is, you know, really at this point, just checking their watch. When do the playoffs start? Season ends April 10th. Let's go. Let's get the seeded done. Let's go. Let's see who's playing who. What's the play-in games? Come on. It's time. But baseball, meanwhile, the NFL is like, all right, well, we're going to take, if it's out there for us, we're going to take the headline baton. Unless baseball, you interested? Baseball is like, nah, you're good. We're literally not interested at all. The only headline that we have to throw in the mix is there is still no baseball.
Well, there's a reason I'm wearing a Chattanooga Lookouts baseball cap. Shout out to, I believe that was Dirtball Randy who sent this a couple years ago, because we have said, go to minor league games. I am actually in the middle of planning a trip to Chattanooga with two buddies.
All right.
To see the Lookouts, which are the Reds AA affiliate. I've never been. From what I've seen in the last few days, looking beautiful city near, you know, or in the Appalachian Mountains on the Georgia-Tennessee border. So it's only about a 5.5 hour drive south, go through Knoxville, go through the mountains. And that's what I'm doing. And real quick to everyone, that's what I want to preach to you guys. If baseball doesn't play, I looked $10 seats. $10 seats right behind home plate.
I'm here, just a battered housewife. What did I do yesterday? I bought Mets tickets. Just a battered housewife. He's coming. He's coming back to me. It'll be fine. He loves me. Sometimes he just gets angry.
Yeah, man. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go. Like I said, we're gonna go down to Chattanooga. I'm gonna go down to Louisville. There's a single A Reds affiliate, I think they're still Reds, the Dayton Dragons. I'm like, my thing is, I'll see baseball. Yeah, I'll go. I'll go. But, I'm not waiting on you, Major League Baseball. And it'll give me a reason to, again, travel a little too. But I agree. Baseball dropping the baton, and NFL is taking it and just sprinting. Here's
the big question. I don't want to put too much. You know what? I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to say it. You have a lot of football news on the rundown. I think that's where we got to start. Where do we start?
What's that? I mean, you have a grin. I didn't know if you were ready to say something.
I want to say it without saying it, but I was just interested to see, like, there's a lot happening right now.
Sure. There's a ton.
I'm interested to see what Andy Ruther deems the top story in sports today.
Well, I don't top. That's tough. I mean, you have Aaron Rodgers re-signing and Russell Wilson traded. I mean,
Aaron Rodgers re-signed, but didn't. Then he put out a tweet saying basically that he will be a Packer next season, but that the reports of a 4-year, $200 million extension are untrue.
Correct.
All right, so there has been no deal signed and no further reports of a deal signed since his tweet.
To my current knowledge, we don't know what the length of that deal is, or
even if we would know if one has actually been signed.
Yeah, or the financials behind it.
Right. So, essentially, there's some sort of agreement in terms, or at least that they'll come to terms, and he has guaranteed, although he hasn't. He also guaranteed he was vaccinated. So at this point, until I see a tweet from the Packers of Aaron Rodgers signing a piece of paper and Aaron Rodgers in a red jersey at training camp, I'm going to assume that there's still the chance that he is not the Packers quarterback, but taking it at face value, he will be back with the Packers.
Yeah. And I was shocked when I saw that initial tweet as well. Not from him, the one about the deal, because I thought that's just too much money. Like they're already in cap issues. They're not going to win if they give him 150 plus million guaranteed. So who knows? To
be fair, the initial report was that it was a cap friendly deal with a ton of bonus money, which great. It's not, like if you're a Packers fan, you go, great. It's not my money. I don't give a shit if they give it all to him up front and then he gets hurt and it doesn't count again. Like, as a fan, the only number that should matter to you is the cap hit.
Sure. Yeah, totally.
Otherwise, that's not your money. Who cares? I guess, except if you are a Packers owner, and then I guess sort of like in a way it is your money, but not really. It's not coming out of your bank account.
Yeah. So they tagged Devontae Adams. I know they're working on a possible deal. And again, that's like above my pay grade. I don't know how that works with cap space and the franchise tag and the long-term deals and the dead end money and all that. But it sounds like he's back, and back-to-back 13-3 seasons, back-to-back, number 1 seeds?
Yeah.
It's tough for him. It'd be tough for him to not go back. But here we are though. It's like, dude, you got to win in the playoffs, man.
Absolutely.
So I think a lot of teams.
I think we're going to talk a lot of quarterbacks as we always do and moving around. I think the thing with Aaron Rodgers, though, much like the Patrick Mahomes deal, is like there are some quarterbacks where it's like, start there, have that guy, figure it out around him. Through the players through the years, it has worked with numerous guys. It worked with Peyton Manning, it worked with Tom Brady. It works with like the guys who are just like elite, which I think Aaron Rodgers is. Sure. If your team was like exceptional without Aaron Rodgers, you go, hey man, we're good enough where I think we can win with a guy who's gives us 30 or gives us 75% of your production at 50% of your value or whatever. But I think with Aaron Rodgers is the key to the Packers contending. He has been, and I think he continues to be. So now it's, kind of the best of both worlds. If you're going to have to pay a guy who's that elite, is try to do it in some sort of cap friendly way, find out what else you guys need, whether that's defense, whether that's offensive line, whether that's more weapons. I mean, I feel like he's got weapons, but yeah, get it done. That's not the case with 5 QBs in the league. We talk top 5 all the time. Top 5 is like that fun number, top 5 rappers, top 5, whatever, top 5, but like not every top 5 guy, in my opinion, in the league qualifies as somebody who it's like, we don't give a fuck what we pay him. We have to start there. We talked about, how great the freeing of Matthew Stafford from Detroit was. He goes to the Rams. They immediately win the Super Bowl. That doesn't mean that tomorrow, if Matthew Stafford wants money, they should just give him whatever he demands and figure it out. No, they could win, with another guy who's of that quality. But I think with the Packers, find a way to get him a cap friendly deal and build it around Aaron Rodgers. Even if that's, and sometimes that is, we're trying to do it for the next 2 years, but we got to give him 4. We got to do it for the next 3 years, but we got to give him 4.
Yeah. And, him returning is obviously it's much needed at this point with the NFC quarterback situation. And also huge L for the NFC North, like huge L for Vikings fans, Bears fans. I mean, Lions fans have been taking L's for 30 plus years. So that'll continue. But had he left, you suddenly would have an opening
for sure. And now Love, the league. Yeah.
And real quick. And now Jordan Love he's literally on the Aaron Rodgers path of sitting for the first 3 years. And I think people forget.
Unless somebody sees value in him from the times he's played during Aaron Rodgers' COVID toe situation. But I certainly don't think he proved anything in those games where whatever. And, maybe that is, you didn't draft Jordan Love thinking you were going to extend Aaron Rodgers. You didn't draft Jordan Love thinking you had Aaron Rodgers for the next 5 seasons.
Well, they probably didn't think he's won 2 MVPs since they drafted him.
Right.
I mean, I just don't think they expected not only to have him, but for him to continue to play at this level. But his shakeup does not mean nearly as much as the Russell Wilson one to me.
Well, and honestly, they say that the Russell Wilson deal was weeks in the works and all that stuff, but it did happen right after the news of Aaron Rodgers going back to the Packers broke. So the idea that they're now sort of on the record as not pursuing Aaron Rodgers and they wanted Russell Wilson the whole time, I just call bullshit on.
As far as the Broncos are concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why wouldn't they be pursuing? They needed a quarterback.
Yeah.
The Broncos, and obviously we can jump into it right now. I don't think people realize, like, the Broncos they're a good quarterback away from being a really, really good team. A lot of people think they're Super Bowl contenders now. I think
I do not, but I also think that the difference between being a quarterback away and being in the Aaron Rodgers mix is different than being a quarterback away and ending up with Russell Wilson. Yes. Do I think the Broncos, with all of the quarterback talent and all just the overall talent in the AFC West, would needed a quarterback upgrade to be Super Bowl contenders? Of course. And I think with Aaron Rodgers, they are Super Bowl contenders. Do I think with Russell Wilson, they are Super Bowl contenders? I don't personally, but the Broncos have needed a quarterback essentially since John Elway retired, save for 2 seasons of Peyton Manning or 3 seasons of Peyton Manning, whatever that was.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of factors at play as far as the Super Bowl contenders is, it's the what Russ are they going to get? And I did a deep dive. I was really curious. I did a long deep dive on Russ's career because I think you and I will disagree on things, but I think you and I actually have a happy medium where we can agree at this point on Russ's career. And before we jump into that, I just want to say the Broncos D last year, they give the 3rd fewest amount of points. They give up 18.9 points a game.
Correct.
So like the D wasn't just good. It was a top 3. That's all I care about is how many points you give up. They were a top 3 defense and their offense was bottom 10, 23rd out of 32 as far as points scored. So,
and the bottom line is, if you look at Russell's career in terms of how he has performed in wins, how he's performed in playoff runs, the first 5 years he was in the league, their defenses were like 1, 1, 1, 2, and 5 or something like that.
I have it in front of me.
Yeah.
No, this is where we're going to agree. This is going to prove the point of Russ. So this is the Seahawks points per game defense. His first 5 years, 2012 through 2016, 1, 1, 1, 1, and 3.
Yeah. So listen, I understand the Broncos saying like this, that we can get this guy and we can get it done. I think the issue with the Broncos current situation is not how they'll play against the whole league. How are they going to fare in their division?
Sure. Well, to kind of continue what we're saying. So again, the defense in Russ's first 5 years is that good.
When he has 2 Super Bowl appearances.
He goes 8-4 in the playoffs, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl win. The Seahawks defense in the last 5 years, 14, 11, 22, 15, 12, which now,
by the way, not bad. That's not bad.
No. It's not terrible for sure, but it's obviously not top.
And that is kind of like where,
so it's middle.
That's where my Russell Wilson thing is like, okay, sure. This is he can hit an open corner 3. A lot of quarterbacks can win when you have the single best defense in the league.
Sure. So that D averages the last 5 years, it's averaged 14.8 out of 32 teams. So it's basically a little better than middle of the pack. And
not a lot of quarterbacks can win when your defense is middle of the pack, but some can.
He's won 1 playoff game in that time. So
correct.
that's a huge knock on him. And I'm not going to deny that. That's a huge knock on him. But I would present this argument based on what we're saying. If they can have a top 5 defense, and that's a huge if, I would say they're Super Bowl contenders if he plays how he can play and how he should play based on his first 10 years, based on his first 5 years in particular. And if you look at them last year, they're 8-9, but like they're one of those teams. They're in like every game, but you got Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, no one thinks that the problem with the Broncos wasn't the quarterback situation. The question is, in that division with the high powered offenses, with, is the defense going to be as good? Then also there's a lot of strategy that goes into, I think the Broncos defense is really good. And I think the Broncos defense can continue to be really good. But there's also the, defense when you're punting the ball all the time, when you're like that, when this is our strategy, let's just stop them. Now they have to go out and win games. They have to go out and be like, we have to win the division. I mean, that's the goal, right? Yes. That's the first goal.
Sure. Well, look, I know what you're saying. I would say within the division, obviously the Chiefs are still the team to beat. The Chargers, no one's going to disagree how great their offense is. Their defense was atrocious last year. It was
right.
29. Totally. It was 29th out of 32 teams.
Yeah.
And I would argue if the Chargers defense doesn't improve, they're just, Justin Herbert can't outscore every team. Like, he needs help, man. So,
but that is going to be their strategy.
The Chargers.
Yeah.
To just outscore every team.
Yeah.
For sure. But to me, without hesitation, I instantly put the Broncos above the Chargers in that division.
Okay. It's fine.
Like, I don't hesitate on that with Russell Wilson. Both the teams were different in 1 win last year, and one had a guy who I think is destined to be a great quarterback in Justin Herbert. And the other team, again, had Teddy Bridgewater.
Right.
So
totally. One, but in the NFL, a good defense goes a long way. And again, I think the thing that we're, the underplaying Justin Herbert on, he's been awesome. He's been in the league 2 years.
Sure.
What if, remember Josh Allen after 2 years? What if Justin Herbert leaps from what he's already done the same amount that Josh Allen left after 2 years in the league? So then Justin Herbert's the single best quarterback in football.
He could be.
Yeah, he could be.
And obviously, I think Herbert's great.
And also, can we I know I sent my tweet that Russell Wilson is now the third best quarterback in his division. I mean, I got a text message from somebody that's pretty heavily involved in the NFL who's like, I actually think he's fourth. I mean, somebody with
I disagree with that.
Okay, I disagree with it too. But we're just pretending the Raiders, who are a playoff team last year, who have a new coach, that not an interim coach, just don't exist.
No, I didn't even say that at all. I think Carr's a nice quarterback. I do. I also think Russell Wilson, I think it was obvious. He came back too early. He missed 3 games. He was terrible his first couple games back. And then his last few games, he played well. I think he came back too early. Again, I think if he doesn't force things, I think he'll be fine. But also,
I'll just say that let's just talk about the trade specifically.
Yeah, I was going to say,
if the Broncos don't win a Super Bowl with Russell Wilson, they lose the trade 1,000,000%.
You think they have to win a Super Bowl?
Yeah, absolutely.
What if they make a Super Bowl?
Okay, if they make a Super Bowl, we'll call it and honestly, I think the deal is a win for the Seahawks almost no matter what.
Interesting. That's interesting.
Almost no matter what. And I almost think the only way the deal is even justified, if you're the Broncos, is if you make a Super Bowl / win a Super Bowl. Because, I mean, they got a haul. And listen, don't forget, the Joe Prano prediction was that Russell Wilson wouldn't be a quarterback for the Seahawks in 2020 because I didn't think that they would give him that big extension that they did give him. I was, I
think if we went back to the tape, I think you went as early as 2018, 2019.
My prediction was that Pete Carroll and the Seahawks will say, we can't give this guy, no matter with everything he's done, we can't give him the huge deal at the cost of not having a defense that's 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, or 3. And they did do that. And it did cost them. And their defense did suffer. And the offensive line did suffer. And 2 years, 3 years into the deal, whatever it was, they're like, this is unsustainable. So people can shit on the Joe Prano, Russell Wilson hate the whole time. In the end, it wasn't Tom Brady. It wasn't Aaron Rodgers. It wasn't Brett Favre. It wasn't Drew Brees. It wasn't a guy who they were like, this is our guy until the wheels fall off. They were like, this is unsustainable. We are not going to win paying him this money and trying to put a team around him. And they picked the coach and the GM over Russell Wilson.
Look, I've never, obviously I'm a huge Russell Wilson guy, but I've never compared him to Tom Brady or said he's better than a Brady or Rodgers, those guys. But at the end of the day, I think it boils down more to financials, right? Like,
yeah. So does Kirk Cousins. So does Tom Brady. So does, I mean, there are guys.
But my point is this, like it's still a quarterback driven league. And that's the most important position. I understand. I don't hate what Seattle did, but you have to say this. If you don't get, I mean, his overall arc of his career, the 10 years, the whole resume, statistically, team-wise, all that, you can't deny what Russ has put together. So I would argue, like, unless you fill that as a Seahawks fan, you're going to have to fill that with someone else, and that's not easy.
But this is my problem with the Seahawks fans that are, oh, we've been stabbed in the heart. This is the trading of Sean Kemp. This is the blah, blah, blah. This is the taking of the Supersonics out of town. Guys, you're now in a position where you have tons of picks. and tons of cap space. You have a defensive-minded coach who's won on multiple levels as a coordinator, as a head coach in college, and as a head coach in the NFL playing defense. And now you have a situation where you go out, you evaluate defense, you draft defense, you spend on defense, and you try to win with a great defense and a quarterback on a rookie deal. AKA why you love Russell Wilson.
Which is fine.
If Russell Wilson had his whole career without the Super Bowl win, no one would be like, you're ripping our hearts out. You guys love Russell Wilson because he won you a Super Bowl and he took you to 2, but also 1, 1, 1, 1, and 3 in the first 5 years of his career when he made those Super Bowl runs. They're going back to the blueprint that worked. They're not abandoning the blueprint that worked by getting rid of Russell Wilson. They're going back to the blueprint that worked.
But I would argue that blueprint is so tough to duplicate because they hit on picks, man. But like Bobby Wagner's now gone, and that's, he's a Hall. I don't think people realize how good he is. They released him. He's a Hall of Fame linebacker, and him and Russ were the last 2 remaining guys from that Super Bowl run team. He's that good, and his numbers back it up, and all the All Pros. He's been that. But good.
Look at dude. Let's not forget Pete Carroll's the original Belichick assistant, right?
But Joe, that's my point. My point is they brought in Wagner, they brought in Chancellor, they Sherman. These are all guys they drafted. Like they were just hitting. Let's be honest.
That's my point.
They were hitting on their picks.
But that's my point. This is what I'm saying. If you go back to Pete Carroll as the original Belichick assistant, this is the Belichick model. And Belichick kept Brady. And we're all agreeing that Russell Wilson is no Tom Brady. Sure. And we also know that Belichick was kind of planning around Tom Brady the whole time. And the ownership and, all the things that go with the Tom Brady legacy maybe got in the way of him moving on when he originally wanted to. Now, you can say you got more Super Bowls out of it and blah, 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 blah. And maybe that, the Tom Brady and the Belichick and the Kraft three-headed monster, 2 of those guys overpower one, and it worked out. But the bottom line is, he is doing what Belichick has done for 20 years. Oh, this guy's your favorite player. You love fucking, Harrison. You love Brewski. You love this guy. They're gone. They're gone. We don't hang on to guys too long. And we start over and we rebuild, and the defense is always going to be good. And that the line's always going to be good. And we're going to do it with the draft, and we're going to do it by like stealing guys in free agent. Now, the Seahawks certainly don't have the history of doing it that the Patriots do. But the bottom line is, this is the situation you get into. And it is, where were you going with Russell Wilson, Seahawks fans? Where were you going?
No, and look, I'm not going to argue that. I don't think it was a tough situation. I don't think they were going to win a Super Bowl with the trajectory they've had the last few years. They just weren't, because they weren't. And they would, the only way they would have blown
because then also you when you have that elite quarterback, you hear the things. You never heard Tom Brady say, I didn't have enough weapons. You never heard Eli Manning say he didn't have enough weapons. You didn't hear Peyton Manning say he didn't have enough weapons. You hear it from Rodgers a little bit. You hear the grumblings from Rodgers. But I have heard it from either Russell Wilson's mouth or a Russell Wilson proxy and Seahawks fans.
When has he said that? Because
I'm just saying this is right. But we got the DK Metcalf the DK Metcalf was a first round pick. But my point is
third round, but yeah,
third round pick, first round talent, third round pick, right?
100%.
But they spent to get him there. They went out and got Jimmy Graham one year. They went out and did it. They heard, whether it was Seahawks fans or ownership or Russell threw somebody or whatever. And the bottom line is they won with defense. Who were the fucking receivers on the Super Bowl teams?
Doug Baldwin, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Lockett was there yet.
Percy Harvin.
Sure. Who they traded for. Look, man, I don't disagree. And I think the one thing I will say about Russ also is he's going to have to play well, because you did have 2 really, really good receivers in Lockett and DK Metcalf. And now you're going to young guys who haven't proven themselves. So,
which great, by the way, that's better for him. Good defense, young receivers on rookie deals. This is what you want. This is why it works.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I think
you're in the AFC.
No, that's fine. But like, that's why I'm saying, I think they're right there in the mix. Exactly. With the defense and with what, look, if I'm a Broncos fan, if I'm like a Brant Tobler, I want to say this. You want Russ to throw, you probably agree with me. You probably want 28 touchdown passes, 7 interceptions, 3,800 yards.
Sure.
Maybe 4,000. I guess 4,000 is more around the line. But my point is defense, run the ball.
Of course.
Russ doesn't need to have 40 touchdown passes.
Exactly.
So we'll see. Now, Seahawks fans, I understand though. I mean, look, 10 years though. But I have a little thing for Seahawks fans, Joe. If you're a Seahawks fan out there and you're struggling right now as you deal with these new challenges in the future, the uncertainty, you might have some low self-esteem, some mental health issues. You should log on to Talkspace, right?
All the rain, all like the resurgence of that Nirvana song with the Batman, Russ leaving. I don't know how the Kraken are doing, but I mean, Seattle just in general, is a place you add this into the mix, guys. Get on it.
Yeah, there's no better time now than to download the Talkspace app because it's an excellent resource. It can walk you through all different issues. I have used Talkspace for the last 6 months. It's been great for me. I had a rough patch over the Christmas time. It's never easy, especially with what I've gone through the last few years. So Talkspace has been great. And what's even better about Talkspace is that it has thousands of licensed therapists across dozens of specialties. So you can connect with someone that's trained just for what you need. And what's great is you can video chat, you can have audio options, live sessions, you can get support from a variety of, you have a variety of options. And I know people worry about privacy nowadays, and they have that covered too. Your privacy is a priority, and Talkspace has encryption and added security features to keep your conversation secure. So dirtballs, Seattle fans, anyone who wants to talk to somebody,
baseball fans,
I mean, a lot of people need to talk to somebody in the sports world now. Get the one size fits one support you need with Talkspace. Sign up today at Talkspace.com and you get $100. It's a great deal off your first month with promo code DIRTY. That's $100 off at Talkspace.com, promo code DIRTY, DIRTY. So to kind of put a button on the Russ talk and the Broncos, you don't think they make the playoffs next year?
I mean, I think they could.
But you texted me and Randy Ruther. You didn't think they'd make the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs next year.
I mean, I think they could. But the bottom line with the trade for me is these are my big takeaways are, one, Seattle did the absolute right thing, kind of the absolute right thing I think they should have done prior to this.
Can I ask something real quick on that?
Yeah. What
would be their other options if they kept Russ? Just blow up the roster and ask him to take a reduced, because he has, I think, 2 more years on his contract.
I just think that that's not even really an option. If you are, unless your entire thought process is like keeping our fan base, who, if they were fucking all NFL GMs, would be NFL GMs, at bay, unless it's fans first and foremost. I just don't think that that's the play.
Yeah.
And that leads to kind of my point is, like, I think Seattle did the absolute best thing for their franchise. I think that they should have done this earlier. And I think that if you're a Seattle fan, you need to realize, put yourself in the Ravens' shoes for a while. Like, do you just think they should have ridden Joe Flacco forever because he won a Super Bowl with a great defense? He's still in the fucking league. Should Joe Flacco still be the quarterback of the Ravens? I know Russell Wilson is way more in his prime and better, but like, That's what you're doing. You're just like, you guys are just like pouring your hearts out because this guy won you a Super Bowl. He won you a Super Bowl on a rookie deal with a top 1 defense. Like, this is the blueprint for Pete Carroll. So I think it's absolutely the right move for Seattle. I really don't think they have other option other than it is to keep fanboys at bay. I think it's a great move for Denver. But in the end, if Denver doesn't win a Super Bowl, this definitely hurts them long term.
Yeah, but
it's a lot of picks. It's talent. Yes, it's a win now league, and they're making a move that they think can win them a Super Bowl. I'm just saying this: if they had gotten Aaron Rodgers, I'd have been like, "Yeah, this is a no-brainer."
It's two.
But you got Russell Wilson.
It's 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, a 5th-round pick. Noah Fant, who's nice. Shelby Harris, who's pretty good, and then of course Drew Lock, who's just a backup. I mean, for me, I'm not going to go that far. I think, you obviously got to go deep playoff runs with Russ on your team. And who knows? I know it's a tough division, but the AFC is just tough in general, right? Like,
yeah.
Regardless, it definitely makes that division so much more interesting in that conference. I mean, right now, the memes are hilarious.
But like, if we're talking about, just like all the things, like if we're talking about this exact deal gets done for the Bucs, we think it's a way better deal, right?
If Russell Wilson goes to
the Bucs, a team that just won a Super Bowl 2 years ago, that's in a division that they can win easily.
Yeah,
that has a breezier time through the playoffs.
For sure. I don't know though. I'm seeing cracks in Kansas City, and I know.
Sure, but you need to see cracks in Kansas City. You need to see cracks. You need to see the Chargers not improve. You need to see the Raiders not get better with McDaniels. You need to see the Bengals fall off. You need to see the Bills not continue to figure it out. You need take it to the next level. The AFC is a gauntlet, dude.
It is a gauntlet.
Obviously. And if you go division win or wild card win and division win, if you get the last 5 years of Russ, if you get 11-7 or whatever it is, 11-6, and then a wild card win, you lost that trade.
But again, those picks have to work out. That's why I kept saying. No,
I disagree. Because
what do you mean you disagree?
Because that's neither here nor there. It's like,
but it is.
What the picks have to work out for Seattle?
They got to hit. Dude,
just because Seattle doesn't hit on the picks doesn't mean Denver couldn't have hit on the picks.
If you have 4 picks between the top 2 rounds for the next couple of years, those got to be just significant players to your team.
I disagree, because I think that what Seattle does with them is going to be different than what Denver might have done with them. And yeah, what if 3 of them miss and one of them's fucking the next Russell Wilson? You know what I mean?
But again, to me, it boils down to, it's a quarterback driven league still. And again, if the Broncos can go 8-9 and be right in games with those guys, you have a significant upgrade. You have a veteran who
no one's arguing that. But now here we go. Now you get 34-year-old Russell Wilson on a team with a top 3 defense from last year, with young weapons in a tough division. Let's go. My point is, I think Seattle, in terms of the haul that they got, is happy no matter what, because where were they going? And now you're only happy if you're Denver, if you play in an AFC championship game, win an AFC championship game, play in a Super Bowl, win in a Super Bowl. They're going to extend him, right?
We don't know.
We don't know. We think he's going to play this year and next year. Do you think he goes into next year An unrestricted free agent the year after?
I hate making those calls because he got injured. Like, you're at that point in your career. You've played 10 years. Could you get injured again? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't even want to predict that because the game.
Here's one thing I'll say. I'll certainly hope Denver didn't give all that away for 2 years of Russell Wilson.
Well, if they win a Super Bowl, it doesn't really matter. It's like the Rams.
But
the Rams won a Super Bowl. Like, I don't care what they gave away.
Right. Totally. That's basically what I've been saying this whole time. If they win a Super Bowl, it doesn't matter.
Okay. So let's talk about just real quick and then we'll move on. Who has a higher chance of making the playoffs, the Bengals or the Broncos? For you.
I mean, I think the Bengals division wise only, because even if you say they're a wild card team in their division, who has a better chance of winning the division? That might be a coin flip, even though I like a lot of the teams in the AFC West, because you never know what the fuck could happen with a Super Bowl hangover. But a Super Bowl hangover and they suddenly have a losing record this year. But if they have if they're 10-7, it's 10-7 might be good enough to make it,
Sure. It might be good enough to win that division.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's exciting, man. Like I
don't think 10-7's winning the AFC West.
No, it's not. The AFC is loaded. Gun to my head today, I still like the Bills
to go to the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to repeat that pick. I think they're going to be hungry.
So how far down the list of Super Bowl? How far down the list do you have the Broncos? If you had to be like, I have, $1,000 of money, I can sprinkle it on these teams to get there.
I would spread that 1,000 out pretty well.
Okay, but where would you start? You start with the Bills.
I'd start with the Bills.
Then where would you go?
To be honest,
with the Chiefs.
No, to be honest, I'd probably put $333 on Bills. I might even do it even. Bills, Chiefs, and Broncos. Those would be my three favorites. And maybe not even in that order, to be honest. I mean, I'm saying Bills just because I just feel like I'm watching Josh.
It's totally reasonable. But listen, the idea that the Chiefs have hosted the AFC Championship game for 4 consecutive seasons. The idea that they're not the next one that you sprinkle a little bit of money on.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I have nothing to back that up with, and I know what you're saying.
You have Russell Wilson love. You have 8 and 9 adds Russell Wilson now better than the 4-time AFC Championship game hosting Chiefs. You love Russ.
I do love Russ, but I just told you I still, gun to my head, I still am picking the Chiefs to win that division right now. But I don't know, man. Like,
now let me ask you one more thing about Russell Wilson. And
okay.
since you're our resident Russell Wilson stan, since you're as close, to a Russell Wilson slurper as there is, are you concerned with one, the finger injury, and
yes.
two, a Russell Wilson that I believe does he turn 34 in November? Or he turns 35. I think he turns 34 in November.
Correct.
And the idea that maybe the dual threatness of Russ, which Seattle, I think, did a great job of managing. Also just, he will continue to get less athletic as well as has a hand injury.
Yeah, he wasn't running the ball. The hand injury for sure. When you play 9 full seasons and don't get injured, and suddenly you're injured. Look.
I feel bad for the Denver Broncos offensive line, who are suddenly going to be called suspect, even though no one was calling them suspect when they had Teddy Bridgewater. They're like, why can't they protect this guy?
First of all, you've been saying this forever. I don't know who are these people. Who are these people
that what?
Idiots on Twitter who are saying this? Who's
saying Seahawks that Russ with an offensive line and blah blah blah.
Let's see right now. Let's just see most sacks given up by team last year. Where are the Broncos? Well, he's going to Let me see. Where are the Broncos in this list? It's going to about middle of the pack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, more. They gave up the 11th most sacks last year. So we'll see. Look, I'm not saying that they're suddenly going to win the Super Bowl. I think there are legitimate concerns, which I'm saying right now with an injury, with younger guys. You did have a rapport in Seattle. You had 9 years of Pete Carroll.
PFF, I know. And listen, I take everything PFF with a grain of salt. Last year, final rankings, PFF, Denver Broncos offensive line, 19. Cincinnati Bengals, 20.
Yeah.
Squeezed between the New Orleans Saints and the Cincinnati Bengals. Bills, Saints, Broncos, Bengals, Ravens.
I would like to know how they do the mathematical equations in PFF.
Yeah.
By the way, very, very close to me. I don't know if you know that. They're based.
You can see their offices from your house. You can see your offices as you drive over the bridge.
One of my yoga instructors, her boyfriend works for PFF.
Nice.
She told me that. I said, "Oh, PFF, huh?" She was shocked that I knew where it was. She's shocked that I knew about it. I'm like, I have a sports podcast. She's like, you know what Pro Football Focus is? I was like, oh yeah. I was like, also, anybody who watches Sunday Night Football should know what Pro Football Focus is. Okay, we got a lot to get through. The other big trade, if you want to call it that, I don't think it's a big trade. Carson Wentz going to Washington.
I mean, I think you saw my tweet about this. I said when they said Carson Wentz sent to the Commanders.
Good tweet.
I was like, oh, he's been sent to the Arena League. That tracks. That makes sense. But no, he's been sent to Washington, which, by the way, did you see the link I put in our rundown? I did add one thing to the rundown.
Oh, look at you. I see it right now.
The Washington Commanders Super Bowl odds drop with the trade for Carson Wentz, which isn't so much I think about Carson Wentz as much as I think it was, are they in the mix for like a real quarterback? Like, let's not make their odds too high because somebody puts a bet on them and suddenly they end up with Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson or, whoever. And now we're getting burned because we had them at 60-1. But then they were like, oh, they got Carson Wentz. Let's make them 75-1. Which just, God, the Carson Wentz saga.
Well, the funny thing about Carson Wentz,
Carson Wentz has appeared on 3 teams since him and his wife posed on their boat, by the way.
They say, and by that people say I like to just kill a joke, just bury a joke. I've been known to do that with OJ Simpson, Aaron Hernandez, some of my favorite go-tos, Taco Bell. You and the boat jokes. You love it. He has decreased in value every time he's been traded, which does make me laugh. Like last year, what was like a second round with a possible first round pick. Now it's third rounds. Look, he didn't have a terrible year last year, but when it mattered most, he played poorly.
And also, he's just a fucking turnover machine. He just makes reckless decisions. He was in a position, and honestly, it's the worst part about it is it cost me it cost me being able to tell Eagles fans that they've never won a Super Bowl and that they should all fucking suck on their own tailpipes. But we had an Eagles season. We're just despite everything, every goddamn thing went right. Every reckless Doug Peterson call worked. Carson Wentz, every reckless Carson Wentz throw was completed. Every reckless Carson Wentz fumble bounced right back into his hands. They just had a year of destiny that made Carson Wentz look like a MVP, made Doug Peterson look like a competent coach, made Nick Foles look like the free agent quarterback everybody wanted. And since that time, Doug Peterson's been fired. Carson Wentz has been traded twice. Nick Foles has fucking signed multiple deals that didn't work out. It's awful. because in the end, we got boisterous Philadelphia Eagles fans that now have a Super Bowl to hang on to, eating horse shit off the streets. But it was like the ultimate flash in the pan for like everybody involved.
It is crazy. Before that injury against the Rams, like that MVP was his. I believe that was week 13 or 14, and there was only 3 or 4 games. I mean, that MVP was his, which is nuts. And he's just never regained it. If you're Washington, I just don't get it. Like, is he really that big of a difference than Taylor Heinicke?
I actually like Heinicke. I mean, and what I like about Heinicke is like he's giving you what he gives you, and you play the defense and you don't spend the money yet. It's like, are they ready to win? I mean, I guess the thing with the Redskins is who's like, I mean,
thank you for that.
Sorry, the Commanders.
No, I can't get on the Commanders.
It's like I'm still referring to Carson Wentz as an Eagle. I've skipped over 2 full name changes.
I can't. I just can't get on the Commanders. I think I'm just going to stick to Washington. I can't.
Yeah, Washington football. The team in Washington. Well, let's go Phil Simms style. The DC football team. The thing about Washington is like, I guess you have as much right to win the NFC East as anybody, because what are the Eagles are sticking with Jalen Hurts. The Giants have start anew once again across the board. The Cowboys are, there's been 8 Jerry Jones lawsuits since the season ended. Not to mention we should call them legal paper tigers. Like they're covered in so much legal paperwork that's what we're now making the paper tigers out of. Redlined lawsuits.
It's unbelievable. Right now.
So I guess if you're Washington, it's like, we think he's a slight upgrade at quarterback. We think he's fixable. We think he's low valued. We can get him for whatever. And we have as much of a right to the NFC East as anybody, because every year, no one ever repeat wins the NFC East. The Cowboys aren't that good. The Giants are starting over, and the Eagles aren't that good. Like,
I just don't get it though. I just don't.
I don't think I could pick the NFC East winner if I got 3 tries. Like, I don't know who fucking wins the NFC East.
I just like that you're not changing. You went from a Honda Accord to Chevy Malibu. I'd rather have the Accord. I don't, by the way, I don't know shit about cars, so maybe that's a terrible analogy, but
I think you went from a Honda Accord to like a classic like Land Rover or something like that. You're like, oh, in theory, this thing could go off-roading or whatever. And then they're like, yeah, but have you seen the maintenance on that thing? You lose your key, it's going to cost you $40,000.
Yeah.
But
no, you're probably right.
But I guess here's the thing. The other guys that they were like, the rumor mill, they had your boy, Jameis Winston in the mix. Would you, if you're Washington, would you rather have Jameis Winston or Carson Wentz? And by the way, I believe they could have just signed Jameis Winston.
I'd rather have Jameis Winston.
Would you rather have Garoppolo or Carson Wentz?
Garoppolo.
Now, do you see that, I guess, Carson Wentz has more potential upside than a Garoppolo?
I don't know.
I mean, now that there's talk, I know it's on the rundown. There's talk of like the Giants going out and getting Trubisky, but like if you're Washington, I'd almost go Trubisky over Wentz.
Yeah. I feel like we know what we get with Wentz at this point. How do you not? This idea of upside. Don't we know? Like, don't we know? Haven't we seen
He has huge games though, and but at the same time, just like unbelievably reckless.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, don't we know at this point? There's enough out there. with most of these guys. I always say 5 years. Like, within 5 years playing in the league, I know that some people might think that's too long, but you want to see progressions, regressions, plateau, whatever it is. I think within 5 years of a quarterback.
I can't believe that the Wentz. It just felt to me like Wentz to Pittsburgh to replace Roethlisberger was so like similar styles, similar like. But maybe Mike Tomlin's like, let's get away from reckless lunatic.
I think Pittsburgh is making some huge mistakes because they made the playoffs last year with the defense. I mean, the offense was awful. If you get a decent quarterback,
is it Jimmy G to Pittsburgh? Is it Winston to Pittsburgh? Is it?
I would enjoy Winston to Pittsburgh because that wouldn't be a good fit because he's so reckless with the turnovers. When you have a defense, you can't have that guy just slinging the ball around. You gotta have somebody that keeps you in the game. Jimmy G to Pittsburgh would be nice. I'm hearing Jimmy G possibly the Colts, which I'm like, is that really like what's the biggest difference between a Wentz and a Jimmy G?
Well, the difference is they run the shit out of the ball. They play decent defense. That's the Niners model, which he has been in a Super Bowl. He's been in an NFC Championship game. He's been like, as opposed to Washington, it's like, who the fuck knows?
Yeah. So what do you make of this Mitchell Trubisky possibly signing with the Giants?
Well, the only thing I make of it is there's a couple things. I mean, I think from what I've seen, Mitchell Trubisky is not good at quarterback. Okay. But he was also in Buffalo with the Giants now GM and now head coach. So do I trust them to evaluate Mitchell Trubisky more than I have? Well, of course I do. I have to at this point, right? I have to at this point trust that they know what they're doing. It's like if I don't trust, they just started. I haven't seen them make a move yet. If I don't trust them, what do I have? But also, the argument that Mitchell Trubisky was a 2 overall pick or whatever talent, but then also just got Matt Nagy'd. Like, yeah, I buy that. I buy it a little bit. At least I want to buy it. I guess so the thing for me is like, listen, if you're bringing him in to compete with a guy who we don't know is the franchise quarterback yet, who has, I guess, a similar athletic style, ran the ball decently in Chicago, I'm kind of fine with it. My issue with it is, of course, the money. Like, what does that money look like? There's like rumors swirling that, I mean, Rich Eisen said the other day, Mitchell Trubisky is about to get paid. It's like, don't sign Mitchell Trubisky for 3 years, $30 million to compete. Because now my thing is, you're basically saying if Daniel Jones isn't the guy, Mitchell Trubisky is the guy. And I'm like, I don't know if I think that that's the thing. Now, if you're bringing in Mitchell Trubisky for 1 year, $10 million or 1 year, $8 million to compete. And if it's not Daniel Jones this year, then it's Trubisky. And if it's not Trubisky, then it's the guy who we find next. Sure, that's fine. But if there's some rumors of swirling from, whether it be the free agent talk or all the GMs or whatever, that Mitchell Trubisky is going to somehow get a big contract, well, then just shoot me in the face. I don't want Mitchell Trubisky on a more than 2 year deal for more than, $15 million. And by the way, it's insane to even say that, but I also understand that that's like the quarterback market today.
Well, I just said, I think 5 years. And we haven't seen, and I don't think Trubisky looked good. We all agree. Everybody who watches football would say that in Chicago. It was 3 years. The reason I always say 5 years is sometimes guys need a new team, a new coach, a new situation. And I think maybe the best comparison as far as for Trubisky, as far as upside that we could see would be a Ryan Tannehill, right? Tannehill didn't really play out in Miami. He goes to the Titans. He's a backup. Obviously, he flourished. Now, we both agree he's not their guy that's going to win the Super Bowl, take him to the Super Bowl, especially after the meltdown he had last year in the playoffs. But my point is, we saw an upside. And I think there could possibly be that potential for Trubisky. I don't know.
And then also, I guess the thing with Trubisky is, listen, and this is what I said about the Giants last year and how, and the decision that I thought was the most fucking reckless that you can make. You want to have Jared Lorenzen, rest in peace, the big boy. You want to have David Carr. You want to have Curtis Painter or whatever backing up a Manning. Sure. You could back up a Manning. My sister could back up a Manning. My 2-year-old nephew could back up a Manning because they're going to fucking play. But if you're going to be running the goal line options with Daniel Jones, then the backup should be somebody who has starters experience. The most offensive thing, honestly, in the history of New York sports fandom for me, and there's been a lot of things besides maybe the Eddie Curry extension, is that you trot out Daniel Jones, have him running fucking goal line options, and then you put Mike Glennon's neck as your backup for whatever they paid. It's like, yo, Mike Glennon has, for every single moment of his NFL career, sucked. A couple of years ago, the Cowboys compete because Andy Dalton can step in. Like, I'm fine with saying, like, we're going to pay a guy to be a backup to Daniel Jones because we're trying to build a team that can win with a quarterback on a rookie deal. So it should be able to be Trubisky too. It should be able to build whatever. But so I'm fine with that, but don't go spending starter money on Mitchell Trubisky because that would be, we have enough cap problems.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'd say that for any team.
But I'll tell you what, if your question for me is, would you rather overspend slightly overspend to have Mitchell Trubisky in your quarterback room or pay nothing to have Mike Glennon in your quarterback room again? Dude, overpay Mitchell Trubisky. Because doing that, you're just punting on a season if your quarterback gets hurt, which again, I'm fine with. If Eli Manning's your fucking quarterback, because he ain't getting hurt.
Yeah.
Eli Manning ain't missing a game unless the devil himself fucking benches him.
Yeah, I think anybody who's going after Mitchell Trubisky, it would just be to bring him in as a possible starter competing for that position.
Show me what you got.
Yeah, I wouldn't. This idea of giving him a long-term deal or bringing him in to throw money, like take the Steelers. We just talked about the Steelers. I wouldn't throw money at Trubisky.
Just give the guy a 2-year deal somewhere.
Yeah. No, exactly.
And if Daniel Jones isn't your guy and Mitchell Trubisky ends up starting games, then you have him for another year, and then you don't give Daniel Jones the extension, and then you go and find another quarterback, and you let him also be in a quarterback room with Mitchell Trubisky for a year.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Mitchell Trubisky isn't solving any quarterback problems other than potentially being I guess the problem he would be solved is a backup with starting experience.
Yeah. A guy, like you said, where the quarterback goes down and you're not just going to chalk up L after L.
Yeah. Or you don't know what you have with your quarterback yet. And you're like, well, we kind of know what we have in Mitchell Trubisky.
Like, you can compete with him.
I mean, he made a playoffs one time, right? I think he made a playoff year 1 or year 2.
Yeah. No, for sure. But yeah, I would not spend money on him at all. I have to read this tweet, and it's probably not true, but we're doing quarterbacks. I just have to because it's so funny. I think this is a fake tweet, but because it's from like a crazy account, but it's so funny.
Is it from Ballsack Sports?
It's not Ballsack Sports. It says, reportedly, Cowboys Amari Cooper and Dak Prescott got into a verbal confrontation after the playoff loss to the 49ers. Cooper referred to Prescott as the Black Kirk Cousins in a meeting, which sent the Cowboys QB into a fury. And it's funny. I don't think that ever happened. But when you look at the breakdown, it's wild. If you look at the playoff breakdown of Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott.
But that was the thing with that, that's just a fair comparison because that was the thing, right? Like we're not sure if we want to pay him. We're not sure if we want to pay him. We franchise him. He gets hurt. We pay him. It's like, the crazy thing with the Cowboys is you would have thought when he got hurt that bought you some sort of discount. They signed him after the ankle injury, right? So you think that gets you some sort of discount, but they didn't really get a discount.
Yeah. Well, again,
Jerry Jones, though, he doesn't give a shit. He's got $500,000 going out to illegitimate kids. He's got $2 million going out to cheerleaders who have been getting upskirts taken. He's got $6 million going out to like sanitizing his bus. Yeah, this dude doesn't give a fuck.
Dude, that's what's so crazy about the NFL is the Jerry Jones thing just completely flies under the radar.
Oh, Jesus, we're 8 stories into this. Calvin Ridley's been suspended for a season.
Yeah, we'll get to Calvin Ridley for sure. The headline reads, woman sues Jerry Jones, alleges Dallas Cowboys owner paid her mother to conceal that he was her biological father. And if you read the story,
he's her father.
He has a bastard child out there.
Probably more than one.
Yeah. So 25-year-old woman is suing the Cowboys owner, alleging that Jerry Jones paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in 1996 to conceal that he was the father. So here's where it like he is. End of story.
It's like, because why is he paying these people otherwise?
Yeah. So at the age of 1, the girl was bound to secrecy by a confidentiality agreement signed by her mother, according to the lawsuit. Jones denied in settlement documents that he was the biological father of the child. But this is the biggest but ever. But he paid the woman $375,000 in exchange for confidentiality and had an Arkansas friend and lawyer named Donald Jack set up 2 trusts for the girl linked to her and her mother, keeping Jones' paternity a secret, according to the lawsuit. So Jerry Jones can claim all he wants that he ain't the baby daddy.
Jerry. Your history of payments tells us that you are the father. Jerry.
It's unbelievable. So
Jerry Jones greater than Jerry Springer.
The irony is,
I love the greater thans.
You do love the greater thans. So he's 79. So he had this child in 96.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like a mid-50s.
Yeah, 54-year-old
child that he pumped out. And we got to get into some details because this is classic creepy old rich billionaire. So her mother was an American Airlines ticket counter in Little Rock, Arkansas. And Jerry's from Arkansas. Let's not forget. He went to Arkansas. He played football there. So he met her while she was working at American Airlines at a ticket counter.
What's the guy got to do? What's the guy got to do to get upgraded? What's the guy got to do? I'm Jared Jones, trying to fly me some first class.
You ever doing the Mile High Club?
How about a baby? How about a baby and $375,000? She's like, sir, you could just buy the upgrade for $1,100. How about $375,000 and a baby? Final offer. But you can't talk about it with anybody. Are you in or are you out? Last offer. She's like, I'm in charge of the upgrades. Why are you saying it's your last offer?
Like, did he think this was never going to leak? I can't believe this has been held on to this long. Right? Like,
yeah.
Like, I can't believe that this hasn't leaked before.
Well, it seems like the thing is the mom's probably making money off it. The mom decides to say, hey, for the sake of my kid and whatever, I'll take this deal. But like, as a 1-year-old, this girl didn't, obviously, they didn't have her sign it.
Sure.
So now she's at the point where she's like, oh, I'm glad my mom had a, financial security, but also I've had to go around just basically not having a dad and like, fuck you. Now I want it known that he is my dad.
I think I saw something else. I'm trying to dig right now that one of Jones's things to her that he couldn't get her pregnant. I think like he was shooting blanks.
Oh, that's what he told her?
I think I saw that somewhere. That could be complete bullshit. I mean, I'm looking right now. You know, you got to go to the source. I'm at blacksportsonline.com right now because I know they're going to have the.
What's the headline? Give us the headline. Oh, can I do over under on words in the headline?
Well, are we doing headline or his tweet? His tweet was pretty funny.
No, we gotta go. We gotta go to the headline. I need the headline from Black Sports Online. I'm going over under 12 words.
Oh, come on, dude. Way over.
Way over?
Yeah. Alexandra Davis claims Jerry Jones is her biological father. Says a married Jones cheated on his wife.
It's like 40 words. Over under 12 words before the first colon.
It was actually a semicolon.
Semicolon.
So Alexandra Davis claims Jerry Jones is her biological father. Semicolon. Says a married Jones cheated on his wife with her married mother, Cynthia Davis. Dear God. Never fails to disappoint. The tweet was pretty funny. What was the tweet? God, he tweets so much. It's tough to find. What was the tweet? Of course, all the dirtballs were tagging me in it. This is the tweet. The tweet's even better. MAGA Alexandra Davis, because I think she worked for Trump or did something for a Republican. So the woman who's bringing the lawsuit, MAGA Alexandra Davis claims married Jerry.
That's just like, I love how he's using it as a descriptor.
Hold on, this one's pretty funny. MAGA Alexandra Davis claims married Jerry Jones knocked up her married mom 25 years ago by telling her it was okay to go raw because his soldiers shot blanks, semicolon. That's where I saw it. After she was born, Jerry paid off mom.
This is a tweet? Is this a one of two?
It's a tweet. But now the daughter is suing to be a Cowboys heir, parentheses, court docs with a link.
Did Black Sports Online somehow pay to get more characters on Twitter? Why did that feel like 1,000 characters to me?
This is actually pretty good. Okay, so let me just read this real quick. So Alexandra Davis, again, this is the person suing, was born on December 16, 1996. Shortly afterwards, Cynthia Davis and her husband filed for divorce. During the divorce proceedings, it was determined through genetic testing that Alexandra was not the child of Cynthia Davis's husband. That's her mom.
You are not the father.
Yeah.
They're like, Jerry Jones, what are you doing here?
Why are you at the court proceedings?
Jerry.
He was not ordered to pay child support when the divorce was finalized, and Alexandra Davis did not have a legal father, according to court documents. After receiving the test results, Cynthia Davis told Jones that he was Alexandra Davis's biological father, according to the lawsuit. According to court documents, Jones.
Sir, can you stop doing the Jerry Springer thing in the courtroom? He's like, I don't even know what the Jerry Springer thing is. I'm just telling you who the father is. It's Jerry.
So this is in court documents. This makes it even better. According to court documents, Jones had told Cynthia Davis that he was not able to have children.
She's like, but what about the children you already have? He's like, that's a good question.
Unbelievable. Jerry Jones just needs his own hard knocks.
Yeah.
Forget the Dallas Cowboys. Remember how boring the Dallas Cowboys hard knocks was?
Yeah.
Can we just follow around? They need to take
honestly, it is amazing that Jerry Jones can have kids considering he's eating fucking egg McMuffins and adding salt. I need salt for my McGriddle. They're like, your McGriddle has a lot of salt on it. He's like, I need more. That's how I keep my swimmers swimming. Pump them up with sodium.
Oh, this is. They're
like, before I bring you salt for your McGriddle, I feel like this needs to be said because I feel like maybe you've forgotten. You're a billionaire. Have you thought about having a chef make you like a more healthy McGriddle? He's like, what do you mean more healthy McGriddle? If it wasn't from McDonald's, it wouldn't be a McGriddle. Now I'm going to pay a guy to just make me a griddle. The Mc's the favorite part.
You know what I love about Southerners? Like, you can take the guy of the South, but like,
you can give the guy out of the South $1 billion. He's still eating McGriddles.
That's what I'm saying. Like, dude, you're from Arkansas. You're always going to be that Arkansas guy. You're getting not even a flight attendant. The woman working the counter.
You ever been in the Mile High Club? She's like, no, because I'm a ticket counter representative. I don't actually go in the air. He's like, you ever been in the 0 Miles High Club? You ever been in the Sea Level Club? You ever? Huh? After you guys board group 2, what do you say? Me and you sneak off behind the Hudson News. I put a baby in you.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it really is. Like,
well, where are we even going to do it? Well, I saw a McDonald's right there. What if we go right behind the McDonald's and get a McGriddle on the way?
What did you say? What's the bus? What's the Cowboys bus? You had a name for it.
I don't even remember. You asked me that once before. I was like, I don't know. It's a Jerry Jones sex bus.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like, forget Hard Knock. I want to follow around the Jones family. I wonder what his kids think of this. You know, his kids are like in their 50s and 60s. She's like, Dad, come on. We got a 25-year-old stepsister. I'm sure I wonder if they had to have known, right? Or no?
We walked by the Jerry Jones sex bus on our approach to the Super Bowl. And I'm not going to name names here, but somebody I was with who likes to party, by the way, was like, I've been invited on that bus and I've never once accepted the offer because I don't want any part of what happens on that bus. And I was like, interesting.
That is interesting because that's basically saying if something comes out later.
And what I think this person was saying is like, I like to drink, I like to party, but there is other shit happening on that bus, like people impregnating cheerleaders and upskirts and whatever.
That's what I'm saying. Like they also.
What exactly don't you want to be a part of? He's like, I don't know, being rich and still eating McGriddles. It's disgusting. Yeah.
Also, guilt by association, right? Like if you're on that bus, as we were seeing, and stuff leaks years later, you're suddenly connected and you're culpable, whether it's right or wrong. Unbelievable. And you have to laugh. You have to laugh because are you seeing a connection, Joe, on the Cowboys and when she was born?
No. Right before a Super Bowl win? Right before the last Super Bowl win? Are we calling this what's her name?
So she was born the last year that the Cowboys won the Super Bowl.
Right. Right before. No, right after, I guess. They would won in 96, right?
They won in 96.
And she was born in late 96.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, it's kind of funny that like the same year.
What's her name?
God, I just read all that. I don't even know her name. Something Davis. What's her name? It's where is her name? Come on. What see, this is why you don't click on ESPN. I went back to ESPN.
It doesn't matter. I was just trying to give the curse a name.
Alexandra Davis.
The Alexandra curse.
It's unbelievable. Man, all this football talk really makes me want to drink a cold Miller Lite, doesn't it?
Yeah. Speaking of Cowboys, one of the official sponsors of the Cowboys fans going to be drinking a lot of Miller Lites at the Jerry Dome this year, just to forget.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think you're right. Dirtball, summer is right around the corner. Spring is here. No better time than to crack open some cold Miller Lites with your friends, right?
It's the best. It's the best time of year. Spring is sprunging. Get yourself a cold Miller Lite as the weather warms up around the country. You know that I am exclusively drinking Miller Lites right now.
Sure.
I almost exclusively drink Miller Lites all the time, but now I'm exclusively on only Millers till opening day.
Love it. I just bought a 36 pack from Costco the other day because I'm going to have some family and friends over. I got the fire pit out. I know I mentioned that last episode. Really nothing better than a nice, brisk spring night here in Ohio with some cold Miller Lites sitting around the fire as I explain why Russell Wilson is a Hall of Fame quarterback to all my friends, Joe. That's what I'm talking about.
Minor league baseball and Miller Lites. March Madness and Miller Lites.
Can't beat it. Since 1975, Miller Lite has been the beer with taste you can depend on. No games, no gimmicks, just a great beer for people who like beer. People like you and your friends. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/dirty sports to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories, 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
That's the thing. 96 calories, 3.2 carbs. My exclusively Miller Lite consumption from now until whenever baseball season starts. I'm just trying to get in a little bit better shape. No beer is healthy, but Miller Lite, the healthiest. I mean, Come on. What a 3.2 carbs. Let's go.
Can't beat it. I guess we should talk about the NFL player who was suspended for gambling, which is really...
Calvin Ridley has my over-unders on Miller's consumed before baseball season starts at 1,500, which is also how much apparently he bet on parlays, and that now is suspended for a year. Also, before we even get into it, can we just why is that all he's spending on? Why is Calvin Ridley, who's a millionaire, betting the same amount on parlays as I am?
Well, it's funny that first of all, this dropped, of course, like 10 minutes after we published Monday's episode. And again, has fallen by the wayside with all the other news. So he's suspended for a year. And there's just a lot to tackle here because we knew this was going to happen, right? Didn't we?
I mean, yeah, we knew it was going to happen eventually for sure. But you would think, I mean, what's crazy about this is you would think it would happen to some practice squad guy, some rookie guy on a rookie deal. It's like, dude, I mean, the joke's been made a million times, but lose a $1,500 parlay and yet somehow it costs you $10 million. Dude, what are you doing? I understand. And I know you're going to get I know you're chomping at the bit to get into all these leagues are all partnered with gambling sites, but then they say you can't gamble. It's it's rule number one in sports. As much as it probably shouldn't be, as much as there should be, as much as rule number one for NFL players should be, don't punch your wife in the face. Rule number one across sports is you don't gamble.
No,
and the idea that this guy is a multi-millionaire and is betting parlays for $1,500, what is you doing, man? Yeah, look, I'm not saying I definitely think it's funny. I agree with you. I'm not advocating if you're in the league and they say you can't gamble, you can't gamble. Now, do I think that's stupid? Yeah, I think at this point. But we know why, right? Sure. They're trying to protect the game. Sure. They're trying to protect the game. It is funny though. And that's my point. It's it's funny, right? It's hilarious that every other commercial this year is for gambling. And now they're cracking the whip. It is funny. It's hilarious because, they're in a bad spot in the NFL. That's why I was saying, my point was, I knew this was going to happen. The minute they got in bed with gambling, you're setting yourself up for this. Now it sucks that it's a legit good player. Yeah. But it also does suck a little bit for the NFL in terms of having to deal with something like this, because the bottom line is all the years, it's just drugs. The only reason that there's crime surrounding it is because you make it a black market, entity. And the idea that the NFL knows that gambling, this much money is gambled on the Super Bowl this year, this much money is gambled every week, that they're putting out the lines, that they're doing all this stuff. and then pretending they have nothing to do with it. So now for all these years, prior to obviously the apps, prior to the offshore bank accounts, I got to go to a bookie. I have to commit a crime to bet on the games that you're totally promoting as part of this whole thing, but also pretending to like distance yourself from. So I think that there's something good about the NFL being able to partner with these things and being like, hey, you can do it safely. You can do it with your credit card. It's legal in these states. It's whatever. And the idea that the decision between doing that, taking it out of like some sort of black market and therefore also having to say like, guys, just because it's legal doesn't mean you can still do it. But like that goes for so many things. I mean, I think we agree at this point with pot being legal in every state almost, you should be able to smoke weed if you're in the NFL, and they can't, but they should. And honestly, if I was like, you got to make one legal for players, like let them smoking pot for their pain be legal. And yeah, there is we have to protect some sort of legitimacy of the game, because there is a guy who isn't a $10 million a year player who can still, affect the outcome of a game if he wants to bet on. I mean, if you're a rookie kicker, you could make more money missing kicks and betting on betting sites than you could from your contract.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people want to make the comparison with some of the other NFL suspensions. And I do think that's apples to oranges.
Yes. Right.
Like this tweet went viral from just some rando, some person on Twitter with 500 followers. This has 198,000 likes. And it just says, and I want to read it because I think that's a point I want to make, which I think a lot of people are missing. It says major NFL suspensions: Ray Rice beating fiance 2 games, Adrian Peterson felony child abuse 6 games, Greg Hardy beating girlfriend 10 games reduced to 4, Ezekiel Elliott hitting women 6 games, Calvin Ridley 17 games for using FanDuel, Josh Gordon 6 seasons for smoking weed. I just think
it is apples to oranges, but it does prove a lot of points, which is one thing. Here's the thing. The Calvin Ridley suspension might be the only one of those that's reasonable. Like you can't bet on you can't bet on games, because then if you're betting on games, you could be affecting the outcome of those games. And what is sports if we think it's not legitimate? It becomes boxing. You know what I mean? And no one takes it fucking seriously. And we all know that it's all about the next rematch. So you have to like saying there is no first strike light offense, first strike in the NFL, you're suspended for a season. I'm totally fine with that. The issues, of course, are, Josh Gordon should be suspended 2 games for smoking weed, not 6 seasons. And Ray Rice and certainly some of those other guys who have done even worse things than Ray Rice, like what was it? Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy should get the electric chair.
Well, look, the suspensions definitely show one thing, and that's why I think we talk about the integrity of the game. The NFL doesn't care if you, let's just be honest, if you kill someone, if you straight up kill someone, not even on that list. Leonard Little, I don't know if you remember him. He was really good, former defensive end for the Rams during the Super Bowl years when they won one and lost one.
Yeah.
Killed somebody, drunken driving. Straight up killed somebody. Didn't miss a season. The former wide receiver, wasn't it Dante Stallworth? Same thing in Miami, I believe. Killed someone. Ran over a pedestrian, driving under the influence. Like, we're talking about people who have straight up killed people who have less time. But that doesn't affect the game. That's what people need to realize.
Right.
The NFL just doesn't care. They don't care if you kill someone, if you beat a woman. If it doesn't actually affect their game, where gambling does, like you're saying, the legitimacy of their game, they don't care. And in that regard, it is apples to oranges.
Right.
And that's never going to change. So we either need to learn to just say whatever, it's shitty. And I've bitched about it, of course, a lot in the past, but I'm just like, at this point.
And of course, don't forget in that tweet, Colin Kaepernick has an opinion, suspended for life, lifetime suspension.
Yeah, no, for sure. So at the end of the day, the NFL did what they had to do. But if you're crying foul again about those other things, you can keep crying. They're not going to change. They're just not going to change. No league's going to change, guys. No league gives a shit. They don't give a shit. They just don't. It's like there was that tweet going around. What if Tom Brady was held in Russia against his own will versus the Brittany Griner thing? It's like, well, it's just, what are you doing? Like that. It's why are you doing that? Like that doesn't make any sense to me.
It would never happen. I would have gotten him out immediately. I would have called my friend and said, hello, friend, let my other friend go. We're all wearing the same hat here. It's going to be fine. Send my boy home. Send him home. You like models. I like models. He likes models. Send him home. Make the Patriots whole again, or the Bucks, or the Niners, or whatever team he's on.
I do like that Calvin Ridley tweeted though.
Yeah, Calvin really gives 0 fucks. This guy's double down.
Let the world know he does not have a gambling problem.
Yeah, except with horrible punctuation.
Yeah, hey, well, he has. If he wants to take a grammar class, he's got some time.
What was that tweet? It's like it sounded like one of those joke tweets about gambling. Like it sounds like I bet $1,500 I don't have a gambling problem.
It said, I bet 1,500. There's no common 1,500 total. I don't have a gambling problem. I bet 1,500 total. I don't have a gambling problem.
So funny.
That's unbelievable. Well, it does make you wonder because he left the team. He claimed mental health issues.
Yeah. I mean, no one thinks Calvin Ridley has a gambling problem, right?
No.
You just think Calvin Ridley's fucking bored. But like, dude, it's again, I just feel like I should work at a switchboard. I should work at a switchboard, like an old-timey switchboard, pulling plugs, putting plugs in. And it's just a place that professional athletes can call and just run ideas by me just real quick. Hey, man, I'm thinking about betting a $1,500 parlay. I'll pay you $1,500 not to, because if anybody ever finds out, you're going to be suspended for a year. And he's like, for real? But how would they find out? It's like, well, here's the deal, man.
They literally work with these companies.
You used your name and credit card. That's how they would find out.
And that's the thing that I don't know if people realize.
You're right, Joe. I'm so glad I called 1-800-FIX-YOUR-LIFE.
The NFL, when they
I'm
start
thinking about speeding home at 140 miles an hour and I'm kind of drunk. How about I call you an Uber? Well, what about my car? We'll send somebody to get it. You know what? That's a good idea. I'm so glad that this night did not end up with me in jail for aggravated manslaughter and reckless driving. I'm so glad I called 1-800-FIX-YOUR-LIFE.
Do you watch Black Mirror?
I've seen a bunch of them, but I don't watch it with regularity.
I feel like we're not that far removed from those thoughts going through somebody's head and then ding, ding, ding. Like there is a service where you're thinking it and suddenly an alert goes off and then you look at your phone or your watch or whatever. And it's like, do not do what you're thinking about doing right now.
Yeah.
Do not hop in that car. Call an Uber. Do not gamble on that site. Do not have sex with this woman next to the bathroom at an American Airlines in the middle of an airport. Do not do that.
I mean, honestly, if Jerry Jones had called 1-800-FIX-YOUR-LIFE, I'd be like, dude, it's your money. Do whatever you want, I guess. Personally, I'm really more concerned with your McGriddle consumption than I am. Like, I mean, I guess you got the money to pay off fucking paternity suits. Go for it. But if you want to make it to 80, I would stop eating McGriddles. And at the very least, I'd stop adding salt. He's like, you know what? Call 1-800-FIX-YOUR-LIFE, man. This is underrated.
Oh, man. Unbelievable.
Also, just while I've got you here, I wouldn't have cameras on in your war room. And if you do have cameras on in your war room, I would get creepy upskirt guy out.
Yeah, on your own.
He's my best friend, though. He's my best friend.
You know what I love about
We already made a deal, man. If anybody gets Broadway and then McDonald's Monopoly game, we share it, man.
You know what I love about Jerry Jones? Him and Dabo Sweeney are the same exact person.
Yeah.
That's what I love about
Kinda.
Jerry Jones. They're the exact same person.
Kinda.
And they really are in life too. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. They really are the same person. I think we made it through, Joe. I think we got through
the NFL news.
The NFL news. Gotta take a deep breath. We made it. We made it through the NFL news. And I feel like I've aged in that time period. Look at all the grays in here. Look at all the grays. I haven't shaven for a while. All the grays in my beard. It's been a few weeks. I think it's time to bust out some Harry's razors after the show and get a clean shave because I'm looking pretty rough these days. You have to admit. Are you eating a McGriddle over there?
Mm-hmm.
Did you pop over to eat a little McGriddle?
Got a little McGriddle action.
Yeah, I can tell. Well, while you eat that, I just want to remind the Dirtballs that March Madness is here. It's officially here. You know this. And it's time to clean up your old, disgusting ways and those bad shaving routines. And you need to try something new with Harry's. Betting on the underdog can pay off big, especially with a company like Harry's that teams up the best quality construction methods in the razor game with incredible fair pricing. And I always feel better after I shave. I look younger. I feel better. And like I said, I'm going to get a fresh shave after the show, put my Harry's razors in, and I got a fresh one. I got a fresh blade. I got a fresh set of blades. I'm going to use a brand new one is what I'm saying. New customers can redeem a Harry's trial set for just $3. Wow, what a great deal. When you go to harrys.com/dirty sports. Harry's believes you shouldn't have to choose between a close, comfortable shave and a fair price, so they give you both. In fact, Harry's blades are designed to stay sharper, longer. In a recent study, guys who shave 4 times a week said their 8th shave was as smooth as their first. Wow. And you know me. I love analytics here, Joe. Looks like we're getting the deep dive analytics on the Harry's razors. Harry's is giving their best offer to all our listeners. New Harry's customers can redeem a starter set. You get a 5-blade razor, a weighted handle, foaming shave gel with aloe, and a travel cover to protect your blades when you're on the go. That's a $13 value for just $3. There's truly never been a better time to try Harry's. So once again, go to harrys.com/dirty sports to try Harry's today. Okay.
Love me some Harry's razors.
I mean, dare I say that they took off as a company because they started advertising with us in 2015. Now they're in Costco. They're in Target. They're in Walmart. They're everywhere.
You can get them anywhere, guys. Or you can just order them online and have them delivered to home. That's like my favorite part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have to go to the drugstore, pull up that.
Yeah.
Send it to my house.
Yeah. Unbelievable. We have to discuss what's happened with winning time since last episode because we did a deep dive on it.
We did a deep dive on it, and I said, by far the most interesting part to me was the characterization of Jerry West, which I said it, and I was shocked that, it seemed like they were trying. I mean, you knew everything was dramatized, but you didn't think they would have wholly created something. And I was shocked at how they portrayed Jerry West. I was like, I didn't expect that from him, from everything that we know about Jerry West through the years. Always seemed like sort of a quiet. I mean, he's talked about depression through the years. He's whatever. And they kind of characterized him as like a
lunatic,
a yelling lunatic that's snapping golf clubs and throwing trophies through windows and stuff like that. And now reports are that our instincts were right, that was completely fraudulent.
It's all bullshit. So these are just 2 headlines I'll read from The Athletic. HBO series Winning Time, ruffling feathers over portrayal of Jerry West. Another one, a total mischaracterization, portrayal of Jerry West and HBO's Winning Time sparks criticism. And I sent you both articles. And basically, They completely made up this character.
Right.
And there's enough people to vouch and enough people going on record that have worked with Jerry. And these aren't no names. These are everybody from a trainer to Mitch Kupchak, who spent 31 years, in the Lakers organization. I mean, here's what sucks. My problem right now with all this is that they are using stuff that really happened with stuff that just didn't happen.
Right. Which we knew, like that's what you got to buy into as part of the show. And anytime you see a movie based on real life, based on a true story or whatever, it's just like, do your digging, figure out what did happen, what didn't happen. That's something I assumed was going to happen. But I assumed that they were going to get kind of the tone of everything right. You know what I mean? Like, I assume we're not going to get through this whole series and they're going to paint Magic Johnson to be a guy who never slept with anybody but his wife, right? Like, but that's why I brought it up, because I was like, that's interesting. Is that true? And now it's like, no, that's not true. It just seems to me as like a very sort of key plot line in the show so far is that Jerry West is angry, raving lunatic who doesn't want Magic Johnson.
I mean, in the first episode, when he's introduced, they show a graphic that says Jerry West has never been happy. I mean, it's like you're really taking some creative liberties there. Like you said, they're going to do that. But when people say he didn't even have a window in his office ever.
Yeah. See, that's less of it. It's like, okay, well, more importantly than that, though, it's like he probably like it seems to be that people are arguing he would never do anything like that, let alone there being no window, Here's what I found fascinating. Like the Jerry West. Yeah, they're doing him wrong. I'm still going to watch the show, of course. Sure. I enjoyed the first episode, but here's what I found interesting. As far as from my end, the most interesting part is that the show did not get the permission from the NBA to use trademarks. That's interesting. That's fascinating to me that the NBA did not give permission to use the Lakers logo or the NBA logos. And the NBA says clearances to use NBA trademarks were not sought or granted, and the league objects to any unauthorized use of its intellectual property. The Lakers are not going to seek legal action, nor will the NBA. And I read up on that. They basically said it would be a huge process and they'd probably win, but the NBA and the Lakers don't even want to mess with it. Yeah. Also, it's not like it's like, unless something comes out where it's like so egregiously anti-NBA, it is beneficial, right? There's no such thing as bad press. Yeah. I just was fascinated. Like HBO is a staple brand. Yeah. That they would just use without permission. Because so many things through the years have, I mean, think about, any given Sunday. It wasn't it wasn't NFL teams, even though it was so clearly based on the NFL. Sure. Think about, ESPN, who even had a deal with the NFL back in the day, they did playmakers or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah, they didn't use an NFL team. They couldn't. HBO was like, fuck you guys. Meanwhile, and the NFL is, involved in ballers. Now, but it's interesting. Yeah. The NBA. So a lot of people were just mad and upset from Jerry West. No, Jerry West has not spoken on the matter. I heard that he had actually just hopped on a golf cart and drove it through the set. He was so angry. That's what he did. My inside sources are telling me. I don't know if that's true or not. But man, now it's going to be funnier to me, to be honest, watching his character play out. Well, it's so funny because I had been up on all the casting of it and the pre-production of it or whatever. And the first time you see Jerry West in the show is on the golf course. And he's like flipping out. And then he's like, Jerry. And I was even like, is that supposed to be Jerry West? I was like, the very first time they show him in the show, I was like, this doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
But I'm a guy who's, lives and breathes NBA for the last 35 years. So to me, it seemed like a mischaracterization. But then I was like, maybe he's just done a good job with his image through the years. But somebody who doesn't know any better probably just thinks that's Jerry West now. Hasn't even done the deep dive to like read about it like we have.
No, well, that's the thing. That's the problem, is that a lot of people are not going to do the deep dive, and now everybody's just like, we're the outlier. Like we're the out. Like, of course, I'm all curious about it, so I'm going to do the research. But now everybody else, and these are stories from The Athletic. It's a paid subscription service.
Yeah.
99% of the people watching just think Jerry West is a dick.
And Jerry West might be a dick, but he might not be a raving lunatic dick.
Yeah. And again, I'll still watch the show. I like the first episode.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to where it goes. And like you said, I'm curious to how they handle Magic Johnson with women and go into some of these other areas that probably aren't the easiest to talk about. I did see Magic Johnson is now in a new commercial before we started the show with, they did every March Madness, Samuel L. Jackson, Spike Lee, and Charles Barkley. They had him with Magic Johnson is now in the mix.
I haven't seen it yet.
His acting is amazing, let me tell you.
I just hope he appears as in the form of one of his tweets. Have we talked about how mad this tournament is? That's just absolute madness. I found 64 teams in a tournament. It's pretty madness. They're like, yeah, why are you just saying shit that everybody knows already?
Well, I'm hoping, and I know this will never happen, I'm hoping as a Xavier University fan that they fire their coach because he's a debacle, and that they hire Rick Pitino.
Ooh.
Who, by the way, was just named coach of the year of his conference. Now, they got upset in the first round, Iona, but let you and I, because you and I have talked about this. He's been great at Iona. We knew this was going to happen. He's 69 years old. Does Rick Pitino, with all his baggage, but he still wins everywhere he goes, does he get a major job, or does he even take it, or does he just stick with a small school?
I think he will get an offer, and I think he will probably take it, although I do not know why. He's getting paid a ton of money.
He is?
I mean, it's not like, it's in the millions of dollars, right? He's not getting like $200,000 a year to coach at Iona.
He's getting $1 million.
Great. I mean, listen, he's already rich.
Sure.
He's getting $1 million a year. He lives on Winged Foot, plays golf all the time. He's, back in New York. He's back around his friends. He's back at his favorite golf club, and he gets $1 million a year to coach like a school no one gives a shit about. To me, it's like the easiest retirement plan of all time. But guys like that, I'm sure he can't wait to go coach somewhere else again.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's just tough. And it's just the competitive nature that these guys have. They like, I don't think they see it.
It's the equivalent though of like, and this is no disrespect to Iona, but this is the equivalent of Phillip Rivers coaching his kids' high school team now. You know what I mean? Like, you're not in the NFL anymore. Imagine if they were like, Phillip, we'll give you $1 million to coach your kids' high school team. It's like, sure, I'll just do this forever.
Yeah.
You're 69. Most people retired a couple years ago.
Sure.
Half retired, still coaching, still involved in the game for $1 million a year. Dude, pays your Winged Foot dues and then some.
Sure. I hope they make the tournament. I hope they keep him in. I hope they get an at-large bid. Maybe make some runs. Like that's what I love to see.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like you. I don't pay. Well, I pay more attention to you, but like I'm gonna. I have no clue. March Madness Sunday.
Sure, if you say so.
And like in years past, the Thursday kickoff is on St. Patrick's Day.
Love it. That's honestly when those collide, it's the best. When you have a March Madness Day on St. Patrick's Day, I remember doing one in New York City. I forget the name of the bar. It's amazing. There's a bar in the Village that's like a speakeasy above a Five Guys. Like you walk through a Five Guys to go upstairs to the bar. And I just spent the whole day eating burgers.
Five Guys is great. I had it yesterday, by the way.
Yeah. I actually had a milkshake from it yesterday.
It's really good. Like I would argue it's up there. Like if you want a quality fast food burger, like Five Guys has got to be up there. All right, Joe. We've covered it all.
Okay. If you say so.
I think we've covered a lot. We've been running almost 2 hours. No calls today. 310-359-8365. That is the hotline. We're going to wrap this up. I'm going to go get a McRiddle. Look for somebody working the counter at American Airlines. That's a great story. I just really can't stop laughing about that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I feel like no one's going to be talking about it. It's going to be us in Black Sports Online. Jerry Jones, unbelievable. Where are you at this weekend? Can some people see you?
I've got a show up in Northridge on Saturday. If you're in the LA area, come to that. I'll have shows throughout Southern California for the rest of the month. Go to see those on joeprano.com or just follow me on Instagram first and foremost. That's where I, usually post a show flyer on my story or whatever. So if you're not following me on Instagram, I don't know how many times to do it, but I'm at Joe Prano on all social media except for Twitter. I'm at Fix Your Life. And now we have a little bit more details on the dates. I know a lot of our Colorado-based fans have been saying, you keep saying it, but where are they? April 8th and 9th at Schmiggity's in Steamboat Springs, supporting Eddie Ift.
What is it called?
Schmiggity's.
Not Schmitty's, Schmiggity's.
Schmiggity's.
Sounds like something that'll come out of my dick.
Sounds like something Snoop Dogg would. Anyway, for Schmiggity's. April 14th, the Vail Comedy Show in Vail, Colorado at the Bridge Street Bar. Tickets will be on sale for that soon. Get them early. If we sell early, we will add Wednesday the 13th, also in Vail, Colorado. 15th and the 16th at the Denver Improv in Denver, Colorado. All these shows are with my boy Eddie Ift. The Vail show will be co-headlining. Otherwise, I'll be in support of him. And then just FYI, April 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th, or 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th is TBA in Vail, but 10th, 11th, 12th, Eddie Ift and I will just be cruising around Colorado looking for places to shred the gnar. So if you're a dirtball with like mountain hookups, getting those DMs. I have not been on a snowboard since the incident. Might try to get in like a Big Bear practice session before that, but between now and then, it's only gonna be a day or two. So my return to the slopes. If you're a dirtball with Colorado POW hookup, let me know.
It's a big news for you, man. Returning to the slopes. Any
That's right.
PTSD?
Yeah, actually, well, the crazy thing, and people have been asking me a lot about this, is like my whole life, I skied and snowboarded, and I have done, especially in my younger days, wild things, hucking myself off of cliffs and going off jumps and going down a reckless, terrain. And never in my life, really, was I ever worried about getting hurt, and seemingly rightfully so. Because in the end, the thing that hurt me was somebody else and being terrible on the shittiest, slowest run on the mountain. Just some motherfucker literally ruining my life. So my PTSD now is about people. Like sure. I'm just afraid of other people. But I've always, since I've started snowboarding, which is a long time now, but like I've always taken to the trees. I like going through the trees. I like finding my own little lines. So I've always been the kind of guy who's kind of stays away from people, but sometimes they're unavoidable. And yeah, I have PTSD about just like passing people. I feel like I'm just going to be avoiding people at all costs.
Yeah.
But whatever, we'll see what happens.
Well, that is the episode. You guys enjoy your daylight savings weekend. You lose an hour of sleep, you get an extra hour of daylight. Enjoy that. We'll be back Monday. Have a great few days. And as always, stay dirty.